Good morning, good morning, good morning, everybody. This is Pastor Nick. We have another edition of Marketplace Monday coming to you. I don't have our countdown today because we obviously have to do something with our Restream account for them to allow us to play our audio intro and outro. So we have to give this a few minutes because we have people that just to explain to you the way that Facebook and all of this works is it takes about a minute once I go live to get the broadcast out onto YouTube, onto Facebook, onto those different channels. So it takes a little bit of time for that to actually happen. That's why we play the video live, the video intro that Jeremiah created. We play that over that 2 minute period. Oh, he's trying to call me. Hold on. Let me see. Hold on 1 second, everybody. Oh, maybe y'all can't hear me. Maybe that's what he's trying to tell me. Hold on. Let me check the chat. See if you guys are saying good morning. Good morning. Everybody's saying good morning. Give me a thumbs up if y'all can hear me. Give me a thumbs up in the chat if y'all can hear me. Maybe it's not on YouTube. Let me check. Let me just check. I'm having a little bit of a technical issue, difficulty. This is something that should have been resolved yesterday when we were having these issues at church, but it was not made aware of it. So I will make sure I do a better job of following up. No, it says we're live. So we're on live. So anyway, I think that we're live. Roy, if you could text me, I know you were calling me. Let me see if I could see what he was trying to tell me. I'm sure he had an important message for me because I think he knows I'm on live, or maybe he didn't remember. That happens, but not typically with Leroy. You are on YouTube. Okay, thank you, Leroy. Appreciate it. All right. So anyway, I want to get going. Today it looks like we're getting it figured out. Everybody's getting in here. So today, what I want to talk about is actually a little bit off of what Lakeisha taught about on yesterday, but just positioned a little bit differently for the marketplace. I want to talk about the subject grateful, flexible, and position for the marketplace in 2026. Grateful, write that down. Flexible and position. But what I want to talk to you about today is something that will determine in the marketplace whether you thrive or whether you struggle. Now, this is for the marketplace. It's going to talk about whether you thrive or whether you're going to struggle. Because success in the marketplace isn't just about skill. Success in the marketplace isn't just about education. Success in the marketplace isn't just about opportunity. I believe it requires two fundamental qualities that many people overlook. And even people that have these qualities, I think they develop them to a certain degree, and then they think they've arrived and they stop developing them. Okay. So the number one quality that God requires for us to be in the kingdom is a deep humility that is generated through gratefulness. A deep humility. I think sometimes when God gives us some success, when we have some success, when we get to a certain place in life, this is especially for my one percenters, my 5%ers, my 10%ers, the people that are on this that make 100,000 a year to 250,000 a year, the people that are on here that make over $500,000 a year. We are real subject. It is really you're real vulnerable to stop being humble Stop being grateful because you have a good life. You have what a lot of people would call the good life. And we have the ability to start believing that we developed all of that on our own. So it's very important. This isn't just for the down and out. This one's more for the up and out, right? Deep humility generated through being grateful. Number two is your ability to deal with, write this down, your ability to deal with, accept, and ultimately embrace change. Your ability to deal with, your ability to accept, and ultimately embrace change. A lot of people on the surface act like they're good with the change that's going on. But man, they drive home. On their drive home, they struggle with the grace, the change. Man, I don't deserve that. Man, why is he doing that to me? Man, why am I not the one getting that promotion? Man, I ought to be. Man, God could be preparing you for a greater season than the season that you think you should be. And why am I going? It seems like I'm going backwards and not forwards. Sometimes there's some stuff that didn't get dealt with, didn't get addressed. And you got to step backwards sometimes to uproot those weeds out of the garden, if you will. If you don't uproot the weeds out of your garden, guess what? They're going to grow back. You got to get in there and dig those weeds up. And you don't want those weeds coming up when God's trying to move you somewhere. Okay? So stop thinking too deeply about going upward, downward, or sideward. Embrace what's going on. We live in a time where things are moving fast. Industries, roles, expectation, technology, government, environments, man, with AI and what's going, everything is moving fast, right? So if you need everything to stay the same to feel secure, the next couple of decades are going to be very challenging for you. So I want to give you these 3 points today that will deal with the things I just talked about, and hopefully help you process it, understand it, deal with it better. Number one, write this down. Gratefulness produces the humility needed for growth. Gratefulness produces the humility needed for growth. We need to understand that true humility doesn't come from thinking less of yourself. It comes from being genuinely grateful. Grateful people are graceful people. Grateful people recognize that doors were open for them. Did people gave and sowed seed so that they can walk in this harvest? Opportunities were given to you. The skills were developed in you, right? And God, and the help of others and the grace of God, a lot of times are the reasons why we are where we are. So, what does gratefulness look like? Well, number one, or what does it not only look like, what does it do for you, right? Number one, it keeps you teachable. Always be teachable. Number two, it keeps you receptive to correction. If you can't be corrected, you can't grow. If you can't be corrected, you can't grow. And sometimes a lot of corrections in a little thing, and how you handle it is going to determine the big upside. It keeps you grounded. Gratefulness keeps you grounded as you grow. And lastly, it keeps pride from quietly taking root, right? So we need to understand, in the marketplace, humility is not weakness, it's strength. The higher you go, the more humility you're going to need, because pride breaks relationships. We need to understand that pride breaks relationships. And we need to understand that relationships drive opportunity. There's nothing more valuable in the marketplace than long-term friendships. There's nothing more valuable. Keep your friendships. Work on your friendships. Be a good friend. Be a helper, right? Think about that. Be that person that's that wants to help out. I think about somebody like Leroy. If I was in the marketplace only and I didn't have a spiritual relationship with him, man, I'd love to be know that guy, because he brings that. You could just meet him and tell he's going to be a good friend. right? That's the person you want to be. Not somebody that's difficult to talk to, not somebody that's difficult to work with. It's always an issue or a problem. Be graceful, be gracious. Number two, point number two, is our ability to accept change, right? The ability to accept change, right? And we got to understand that accepting change in the marketplace is a now requirement. It's a now requirement. Ecclesiastes 3:1 talks about in everything there's a season, right? Many people want predictability. If you want predictability and you want everything to stay the same, you're going to be, a burger flipper, I guess, until robots replace that. The same routine, the same expectations, the same environment every day. That's what some people really, really want. But the modern day marketplace doesn't work that way anymore. It really doesn't. Even in skilled trades, hands-on trades. I think about David, my son in the ministry. He's a plumber. You would think there was a time that was a pretty consistent, easy, standard job, but it's not. One day he's working on a big hotel high rise. The next day, maybe he's working on somebody's sink in their house, right? I mean, his assignments fluctuate. One day he's running a crew of 3 or 4 guys. The next day he's out in the truck by himself, right? So we need to understand that today's marketplace environment's different people, different pressures, different expectations, right? Change is not instability. Change is reality. Write that down. Change is not instability. Change is reality. And if you resist change emotionally, mentally, spiritually, you're going to feel stressed, you're going to feel anxious, and you're going to get frustrated. Not because you're failing, but because you're fighting the environment that God has placed you in. So, what do I do, Pastor? Remember this: stability no longer comes from sameness. Remember, we say peace isn't the absence of conflict. Stability no longer comes from that same routine. Stability comes from your ability to be adaptive. Stability comes from your ability to be adaptive. We must be adaptable. We must be adjustable. We must be flexible in these times. And then the last point for today: thriving believers don't just accept change, they embrace it. Thriving believers, if you're a believer in Jesus, if you're a true king in the marketplace, and you embrace change, you embrace change. My wife and I were talking about like the Great Depression. Remember when that happened, right? And she was talking about, well, this, well, that. I said, well, you know what, God, we really don't want that to happen because we love our people. But we're ready. We're ready for the 7 years of drought. Matter of fact, if the 7 years of drought come, we are going to prosper in a mighty way. Why? Because we're ready. So you have to be a thriving believer. You have to embrace change. There's a difference between tolerating it and embracing it. Remember that. Accepting change says, this is happening whether I like it or not. Embracing change says, God, show me how to grow, show me how to learn, and show me how to advance through this. If you're part of our church and you're on this broadcast, our first New Year's servant meeting on the 10th, I believe it is. Y'all need to come and experience that. Our leaders are, man, let me tell you, we are rearranging our entire leadership deck. We are shuffling the deck. Why? Because God's going to be shuffling us this year. And we got to be able to all operate and do everything, do whatever we're asked to do. That's what true servanthood is. So, man, we're shuffling the deck to see what we got. Do we got people that accept change? God, this is happening whether I like it or not? Or do we have people that embrace it? God, show me how I can grow, how I can learn, how I can advance. How do I go from preaching in the pulpit when pastor's gone to working in the parking lot? That sounds like a demotion. How do I go from doing this to doing that? That sounds like a demo. No, it's not. God's just trying to get you ready for something. People who embrace change ask better questions. What is it that God is trying to teach me here? Think about that. What skill do I need to develop from this? Think about that. How is this preparing me for my next assignment? Think about this. See, I'm going to see if my leaders are on, because these are the things they need to be asking themselves. What is God teaching me in this assignment that he's given me? God never gives you an assignment without a reason. See, but some of y'all don't see what's going on in the church or in the marketplace as God because it's your manager doing it or it's your pastor doing it. So that can't be God, because God wouldn't do this to me. Yeah, he would. God uses people to prune us. God uses people to develop us. So what is God trying to teach me here? What skill do I need to develop in this season? How is this preparing me for my next assignment? So as we approach 2026, the people who will thrive are not the people that need to be most comfortable. The people that will thrive are the people that are most flexible, the people that are most humble, and the people that are most willing to grow. The people that are most humble. You know, in the church, let me tell you all a little secret. You know, when I see who's the really good leaders, when I have leaders that aren't in ministry of helps, and ministry of helps is like in an event doing everything, and I have leaders that are sitting around watching everybody else do everything. How do I know? Well, why do you say that? Because I don't sit around and watch people. I literally then watch people sit around and watch me do it, which is awesome. It really tells you something. We must be flexible. We must be adjustable. We must be adaptable. We must be willing to do whatever is required. Why? Because when you're willing to do whatever is required, that is the ultimate sign of humility. When you're able to do whatever is required, that is the ultimate sign that you're grateful for just being there. That's the key. Be grateful. Be grateful. It's like Leroy has a company called Junk Luggers. It's like, let's say he puts a guy out there driving the truck, and the guy driving the truck's just sitting there watching the guys loading the truck. No, go help the guys loading the truck. Why? Maybe Leroy was praying about giving you a raise this year. And he drove out to the job site and he said, man, I told that guy to just drive the truck. And look at him. He's not only driving the truck, he's helping everybody load the truck. He cares about my vision. He cares about this business. So I'm going to give him a little something, right? So let's think about things differently this year. Let's think about how we can be an asset to our families, to our ministries, and how we can be an asset in the marketplace. Amen. I love you, love you, love you. See you guys on Wednesday, and I'll see you Wednesday night. If you're not, if you're in Orlando, Wednesday night, we're having our New Year's service. Please join us. Until then, Pastor Nick saying, enjoy life. Oh, I don't even get to do my exit no more. I just got to abruptly end. Anyway, I'm going to figure out what's going on with Restream and get it all sorted out. Amen. Love you guys.